reactions from the chapter Chemical Reactions and Equations from grade 10. Firstly, combination reaction. Combination reaction is when two compounds combine to form an equation or a product. For example, let's take the textbook example, that is calcium oxide. Calcium oxide is also called CaO. Calcium oxide reacts vigorously with water, so plus H2O, to give us slaked lime or calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide, this is how you represent hydroxide twice, releasing a large amount of heat, plus heat. So calcium oxide reacts vigorously with water to produce calcium hydroxide plus heat. This is a textbook example for combination reaction. So the main thing that you need to know from this example is that calcium oxide with water gives out heat, or it is an endothermic. No, it is an exothermic reaction. Endothermic is when heat is involved. If heat was written along with the arrow, it is endothermic. But when heat is given out, it is exothermic. So this is an exothermic reaction. You also need to know the usage of this slaked lime. It is used for whitewashing walls. So it is used for whitewashing walls. The next type of chemical reaction is decomposition reaction. As the name suggests, decomposition reaction is when a singular compound divides or splits into two or more compounds. Let's take the textbook example. When ferrous sulfate is heated, it produces ferric oxide as well as sulfur trioxide and dioxide gases. So, ferrous sulfate, FeSO4 twice, 2FeSO4 with heat. So this is an endothermic, heat is involved. This is an exothermic, heat is released. So 2FeSO4 along with heat gives us Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3, ferric oxide. The important thing that you need to remember in this example is that the green color of 2FeSO4 changes when this reaction happens. Because the 2FeSO4, it loses water when it is heated. That's why the color of the crystals change. Once the color is changed, it then decomposes, hence getting the name decomposition. It decomposes to form ferric oxide and the two gases. Another important example from decomposition reaction is when silver chloride turns grey in sunlight. So silver chloride, silver Ag chloride Cl, 2AgCl along with heat. So it is again an endothermic reaction. Heat here is sunlight, gives us 2Ag or 2 silver plus Cl2, 2 chlorine. This is another important reaction. In the same way, silver bromide, so instead of Cl, just add Br. Next is displacement reaction. So from the name itself, we can understand something is displaced from somewhere. For example, let's take the textbook example. When Fe is iron. When Fe reacts with CuSO4 or copper sulfate, it gives us FeSO4 or iron sulfate plus Cu. So over here, Fe takes the place of Cu. Why? Because Fe is more reactive than Cu. So in your question paper, they might ask, why does Fe displace Cu from CuSO4? It is because Fe is more reactive than Cu. So Fe goes here and Cu gets out. See, Fe takes place of Cu. So FeSO4 plus Cu. In the same way, you should know that Zn is more reactive than Cu. Pb or lead is more reactive than Cu. So remember this always. Like this, you can form equations if you know that Fe, Zn and Pb are more reactive than Cu. Next is double displacement reaction. Just like the name, double displacement means 2 times something is getting displaced. So, taking the textbook example, sodium sulfate, again Na2SO4, sodium sulfate, SO4 is sulfate, keep that in your mind, plus BaCl2, barium chloride. Sodium sulfate plus barium chloride gives us barium sulfate plus, any guesses? Yes, sodium chloride. So here when you see, one does not go out as a single element. Just like Cu went as a single element, there is no single element in this equation. Instead, Na takes place, or Na takes the place of Ba in BaCl2 and Ba takes the place of Na2 in SO4. So here you will get BaSO4 and 2NaCl. The important thing that you need to know in this equation is that BaSO4 is the precipitate formed in this reaction. Precipitate means like a hard solid mass formed when two reactions take place. In grade 11, you will be taken to the lab to do so many experiments where you'll get so many precipitate. So in any reaction, if a precipitate is formed, a precipitate is a white substance or any colored substance which is insoluble in water is called as a precipitate. So any reaction that produces a precipitate is called as a precipitation reaction. So this is what is important in this equation. Precipitation equation or reaction. And the final type of chemical reaction is redox reaction. What do you mean by redox reaction? Redox, reduction and oxygenation. So whenever reduction or oxidation happens in an equation, it is called as a redox reaction. There is a whole chapter for this in grade 11. So if you learn this in grade 10, it will be easy for you in grade 11. Redox reaction is when both reduction and oxidation takes place in an equation. So for that, what is reduction? Reduction is the loss of hydrogen, or oxidation is the increase or implementation of oxygen in a reaction. Taking the textbook example, CuO plus H2 with heat. So this is endothermic. Gives you Cu plus H2O. How do you know if this is a redox reaction? Over here we can see CuO is the product, the reactant, but in the product side it is just Cu, whereas H2 is the reactant and H2O is the product. So Cu decreases or loses oxygen. So this is reduction. See, Cu is reduced to Cu because oxygen is removed. And over here, H2 gains an oxygen. So this is oxidation. Oxidation is gaining of oxygen and reduction is reduced or reduction in oxygen. If this video helped you to understand the types of chemical reactions from the chapter Chemical Reactions and Equations in grade 10, please like and subscribe to the channel and follow for more.